Happy Friday, dear friends. Many years ago, Yocheved Brookstein's father and grandfather were taking a walk in the Catskill Mountains. And as they walked by, they saw another old man and his son, and the fathers politely nodded to each other and continued walking. Yocheved's father turned to his father and said, "Wait a second, who was that man?" He said, "Oh, it was an old friend from Hungary before the Holocaust." He said, "That was your old friend from your old town? And you just politely nodded? Like, why didn't you hug, embrace? Why didn't you say hi?" He said, "Oh, it's complicated, son. I don't want to explain it." He said, "No, Dad, you got to tell me. What happened? Like, who was that guy?" He said, "All right, let me tell you what happened." He said, "It was the 1940s and we knew that the Nazis were coming. So I procured visas for my wife and my children and we were ready to go. And the only person who knew where those visas were was that man. I had not told anybody else. And when I got up the morning that I was ready to go, I looked to see where my visas were. They had disappeared. And before I knew it, that man had escaped Hungary with his wife and their children. And my wife and my children were killed by the Nazis." Now it was the son's turn for utter shock and disbelief and said, "Dad, you're telling me that that's the man who was the cause he stole your visas? He's the reason why you never saw your wife and your children again? And all you did was just politely nod?" He said, "Yes, son, what am I going to do? What am I going to say?" Where did he learn the power of silence, that man? So in this week's Parshat, we see one of the greatest examples of silence in the face of great hurt and pain. Yaakov, our patriarch, meets Rachel and he falls in love and he wants to marry her so badly. But then, under the chuppah, Yaakov's future father-in-law, Lavan, Rachel's father, does the old switcheroo. And instead of putting Rachel under the chuppah, Leah, Rachel's older sister, is switched under, and Yaakov unknowingly marries Leah. And he wakes up the next morning and he's shocked. He can't believe it. He married the wrong girl. And now Leah, for the rest of her life, never finds out, according to commentaries, never finds out from Rachel that really Rachel was meant to be Yaakov's wife. It was never supposed to be Leah. But Yaakov and Rachel kept that secret to make sure they would never hurt Leah's feelings. Can you imagine the power of silence? That silence, say our rabbis, actually lasts as a mirror for Rachel's children, for her descendants, for all of time. That silence in the face of so much desire to just yell and scream. Now, my friends, there's a time for speaking up. But our rabbis tell us that a fence for silence, a fence for wisdom is silence. Because when we're silent, when we don't share every word that we feel like sharing, when we don't speak up, we don't always have to get the last word. When somebody stings us with a biting comment and we don't quickly rush to get back at them, we just remain calm. Creates a rich inner life, a refinement of character, so that when we do have words to say, they mean something. They're refined. They're not just blurted out for no reason. And isn't it one of the greatest examples of modesty? When sometimes you have something so important and you just keep it inside and you don't share it with the world. You don't broadcast everything that you know and you feel and you say to the world. It's almost the opposite of the Twitterverse, Instagram world that we're living in. Sometimes being silent, whether it's in the face of hurt or whether it's just because you want to protect some things that are so important and so powerful, they don't need to be shared with everybody, just with select few. That's the beauty of silence and the power of creating a rich inner life and a life of wisdom. Thank you for listening to the Masorah Minute. Shabbat Shalom.